G'day from Australia. Dr. Lena, sociologist and political commentator, coming to you. Now, you've got to admire Navalny's widow, Yulia. So she's currently, probably wisely, living in Europe. Not that that provides absolute protection, but she's there. And apparently, because she's gorgeous, apart from anything else, so many men in the EU are swooning around Yulia. The point is, she is taking the fight back to Moscow. Good on her. Golden light over Yulia. And I think she has 2 kids. So full marks to her. Now, before we get into the grift and the slime and the mayhem that is modern American politics, let me just share a fairly appalling story from Australia. In case there's new viewers who think, oh, what's she doing as an Australian talking about American politics? Well, I've got a 6-hour answer for that. But for now, let me just share this. Australia has had one of the worst immigration policies in the world. And why is that? Because starting 20 odd years ago, under a Conservative government, we stopped processing people who arrive by boat. So it's not illegal to seek asylum, and you're supposed to be taken in and then processed. But Australia started what was called offshore processing. Illegal in international terms, ghastly in its reality. So Australia chose 3 obscure islands: Nauru in the middle of the Pacific, Manus off the coast of Papua New Guinea, and Christmas Island off the top of Western Australia. And we keep getting told by our current Labor government that they're being closed down. And there certainly aren't the hundreds of detainees there were there even 5 years ago. But in this last 10 days, 39 asylum seekers arrived by boat from India via Indonesia, and they've been sent to Nauru. Now, the problem with offshore processing is out of sight, out of mind, and you can't go to any of these detention centres as a member of the public. Even doctors are supposed to sign non-disclosure agreements. Lawyers can't get access to their clients. It's absolutely appalling. Politicians who want to go and see what's going on have to get special guided tours saying everything's all right. You know, all this has been going on. But today's scandal is it costs millions, of course, to keep even a small number of people in overseas detention. And so the Australian government chose a company called Paladin to go for the tender. It used to be Serco and these other ones that operate jails and things all over the world, right? It's a business. Ew, ugly. Privatised jails and detention centres. Obscene. Anyway, Paladin. So to check them out, the Australian government asked KPMG, very big international accounting firm, to check out the company. And our news today is they checked out the wrong Paladin. So the Australian government was about to give $500 million to the wrong company. Or maybe they did. Maybe I haven't read the report adequately. Can you believe it? The wrong Paladin. God knows what this Paladin does. Anyway, had to share that, just so you know I'm even-handed. All right, now the first one I want to look at today is Texas AG Paxton. He has a court case that's been hanging over since the last 8 years or something. And he had a more recent court case last year where he got the all clear. And then it transpired the judge of that case had accepted $3 million from a Paxton-friendly organisation. Really. Anyway, this is the other case from back in the day where he went around seeking investments for a company where he was being paid by that company. And he's Attorney General of a large state. Let's see what's going to happen to Paxton, if anything. Okay, come on down. Oh, you got to laugh. Sometimes you've just got to laugh. Oh, right. Well, look, you don't even have to be an experienced professional reader to interpret these cards. I think people are sick of Paxton anyway. And I'm talking within the GOP. He's just causing too many gnarly issues for them. They're almost queuing up to stab him in the back. Then he gets the death card. That's never good, in terms of not his literal death. Of course, it's the end of having this immense power and influence. He gets the Wheel of Fortune. Time's up, pet. I'm sorry, love, to break the news. The wheel has turned. He's wishing, this is in his hopes and wishes, back in the good old days when you could just be a corrupt Attorney General and then you retired on a fortune. Oh, gee, I miss it. That's him, nostalgia. Walking away before he's pushed. Couldn't be more straightforward, could it really? Okay. Now, the impeachment hearings. This has possibly been the most badly run legal event in recent history, and there's been a few. So it was a case that was based on sand, going nowhere, and just falling over under the scrutiny of the public gaze. This attempted impeachment of Biden, over $5 million, which, let's face it, might be a lot to you and me, but is chicken feed in itself. But that's not the point. So this is attacking Hunter Biden and Joe, and they keep getting witnesses that sink their case. Because the events didn't happen as they're trying to make them happen, you're only going to have people who perjure themselves, behave badly, lie, or fudge. And this is what has been happening. And now, apart from that falling apart, their new shiny witness, Smirnov, like the vodka, has been rearrested. I mean, can you believe it? So something about bent testimony to the FBI. So I'm just going to have a very quick look. When will they pull the plug on the fake impeachment? Given that no one gets embarrassed anymore, they can't be embarrassed into submission. They're going to have to, find a way. So how will it play out from here? They have not made a case. And if you want to see more detail, Jamie Raskin sums it up virtually on a daily basis. He does a really good job of summing up the nonsense that they have to sit through with this hearing run by Jim Jordan. Let's have a look. The impeachment case. Look, I think there's some relief on the horizon. I mean, normally this would be mega news, but of course, there's so many horrors competing for our attention that even something like the impeachment of the current president of the United States barely rates. Yeah, this is the modern world. Okay, so reason has a place here, but they have to balance. This is all about balancing things. They have to balance, the GOP this is, how much further they're prepared to take this in an election year when it's not going well for them. They're talking behind closed doors with this hermit card. People have different points of view here. So some are more clear than others, going, let's cut our losses and run. Others are saying, no, let's keep it in the mix, because then in all our propaganda we can say the president who's under impeachment, etc., etc. So they're fighting with each other. There is a card of celebration here, and I don't think it's for the impeachment committee. So I think this represents the public relief, particularly for Dems, when it's finally over. So I think it's not a million miles away. They'll string it out for a little while yet, but they have nothing, followed by nothing, with a bit of nothing on top. I mean, it's pathetic. It's pathetic what the American tax dollar is being forced to subsidize with the fantasies of these redneck theocratic would-be Ayatollah nutcases, in my humble opinion. Okay, so while I'm shuffling, in other joyous news, Peter Navarro has actually been hauled up on another charge, right? He's been sentenced to 4 months jail. There's still a bit of legal dilly-dallying till he goes off to Club Fed. But there's another case, which I'd forgotten, I don't know if you had. The first one was contempt of Congress for something he said or did, and this is a second branch of that. He's still refusing to give back documents to the DOJ on the grounds they're his personal property. Can you believe this issue hasn't been sorted? Can you seriously believe it? Anyway, so he's still hiding behind the Presidential Records Act, and there's more argy-bargy, as we say in Australia, but let's see, is he going to get an additional jail sentence for this? Let's see. Let's see. Peter Navarro. Well, oh, look, the cards are singing today. I tell you, it's like, it's almost as if the cards themselves are saying, we've been talking about this for 6 years. You know, you should know our answers now. Look at these cards. They've become indelibly inked into our brains with these people. He chained himself to the Yeti. Didn't have to. Signed up. Okay. He's been doing the endless juggling and manipulation, just putting in another piece of legal paper and getting another 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, you know, because the legal system is so slow. One could argue too slow. Okay. But the judgment comes, and look at this. Look at this. It's possible, because this isn't just two parts of the same case and he gets sentenced for this and then there's another part. He's still actively fighting it. And I'm sure it's the same in most legal systems. If you plead guilty, you get less of a sentence. If you argue with the system and you get found guilty, you actually get more jail time. And I think that he's rolling the dice, but I'm going to say more jail time and more than 4 months possibly. Anyway, we'll see. Now on to the main game. The Trumpet, aka the Yeti, on this channel. Now, I was on doing a collab with Laurie, The Way of Positive Change, yesterday, and we read on this, but there's so many angles to how the Yeti is going to handle these massive fines. So once Engeron's ruling comes down officially and it's signed into the court record, the clock starts. And that could happen by about the time this video goes up or a day or so later, but it's about to happen and the clock starts. When the clock starts, the interest, the figure I've heard is $87,000 a day. Now, if he wants to appeal the big one, the New York one, he has to put up the money. Now, there's all sorts of hypotheticals. Can he do it? Will he do it? How will he do it? So let's play that game, shall we? What are his choices? Okay. So as I see it, he can sell properties. Now, A, he wouldn't want to do that, and B, it would represent failure. But also C, we're going to then find out, oh, he only owns half of Trump Tower, not the whole thing, or whatever. Or Mar-a-Lago's been mortgaged and remortgaged to the back teeth, that sort of stuff. So he's got his own assets to liquidate as one option. The second option is borrowing money. And when I read with Laurie, I'll give you a heads up, I think that's where he's going. And I also think that's a problem in itself. If he borrows money overseas, particularly, because I think he probably doesn't, but Jared probably does still have a bit of cachet with a bored Saudi prince or a Qatari emir or something, to whom $500 million is play money. But he's got less to offer, hasn't he? It's not as though he is president. He's up on 91 indictments. He's not actually a prize. But someone out there in the world of shady finance could still find it appealing as a money laundering exercise or whatever. Okay, now, to me, the real problem, I was watching MSNBC, I think, last night, and this was asked to one of the senior legal people. If he gets money from overseas, do we, the public, find out about that? Or is it kept under wraps? And whose wraps and what? And the answer, I think, scared me more than the question, because the answer from the senior legal person was she had rung the Attorney General's office that day. She was saying it casually in the sense, not an official inquiry. It's like, I know someone in the AG's office. I'm just setting the tone for you. So she said, look, I rang the AG's office and said, does the public get to know, is there any transparency around this? And do you guys, meaning the AG's office, get to know? And the answer was, we're not clear on that. We're not clear on that. Well, you better get clear. What on earth? In other words, if they're not clear, that's a worry. That's a real worry, because he could get $500 million from anywhere, be totally compromised, be prepared to sell the country and all the secrets down the river. And the DOJ is going, oh, that's a shame. Oh, that shouldn't have happened. Oh, maybe we should have done something. I mean, please, can you actually believe it? Of course you can. Okay, so apart from the DOJ needing to get some collective steroids happening, really, the third option, because I've read on the other two, I also just came off a collaboration with Johnny from Taro's Apprentice and Dave from Moonride for more on this. But the angle I'm going to take now is his third option is bankruptcy. So will he declare bankruptcy? Will the Yeti choose to go bankrupt? Or be forced to go bankrupt if he doesn't get enough money? bankruptcy. Is it on the table? He's very, very emotional about this. Look, he's okay. We've got to remember his psychological profile to make sense of these cards. If he was just a nasty businessman, if he was just a selfish, materialistic playboy, he is all those things. However, he's also a full-blown narcissist. So even now, he's struggling to believe this is happening. So this is emotional overflow. If you're learning tarot, this is often a card of goodness and joy and abundance and loveliness, but patently not in this particular scenario. So it's the other side of that, which is tears. You know, it's too much emotion, way too much emotion. But he's got his knights out there. Knights are action, looking for opportunities and things to do. And they're similar, but different. Okay, so these are his attack hounds going out threatening people for money, right? You know, we did this for you, do, whether that's, why did I just think of DeJoy and My Pillow and so. These are low-ranking functionaries who actually have quite powerful, not so much My Pillow anymore, but DeJoy is still powerful. Every absentee vote in America is dependent on his behaving well and doing his job. That's scary in itself. But this is him threatening people, right? Or his people threatening people. This is the more considered one. This is the more grown-up ones, maybe like some more high-powered money guys trying to make a deal, because this is someone reining in the horse, having to make it palatable to someone with money. Then we've got the third knight. I mean, look at this. What are the chances? Okay. Third knight, Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Money, the mercenary. So this is, he's thinking still, can I sell that box of documents I've got in the sauna? You know, like, really. This is being prepared to horse trade and do anything. Then comes the Queen of Swords. Could be Letitia James. It could be that retired judge who is managing his money. It might not be as easy as he thinks. So if I sum up all that, I think he's not scared of bankruptcy per se, because he's very familiar with it. You know, he's had his trainer wheels, what is it, 6 bankruptcies or something. The difference is back then, particularly in the 90s and that sort of era of Wolf of Wall Street, you could always get another big institution to fund you. Whereas now it's the domino effect. It's the blood in the water. They're leaving in droves. So this, I think, is the financial administrator. Now I'm thinking about it. And I think it'll actually ultimately be her decision. Will they force him to sell everything and he could still end up in bankruptcy? Oh my God. Oh, wouldn't that be heaven? Oh, haven't thought of that before. Make him sell Mar-a-Lago, make him sell Trump Tower and bankrupt. Dare to hope, dare to dream. All right. So we'll see if some shady money, you know, a lazy half bill sort of turns up for him. It could do, because he's still got contacts with, you know, oligarchs all over the world who he adores, and someone might bail him out. But I think it's going to end up a mix of both those things. All right, guys, look. See you soon. Take care. I'll be back. Ciao.